Hey, I'm live. Look at me, I'm on time. When does that happen, huh? When does that ever happen that I'm actually on time? Not often. But I'm here, and I'm glad I am. So we can get this show started actually pretty soon. Look at that, it's 4:20 already. Happy 4:20, everybody. See if I can't get this thing lit. I got a couple of things I'm a little behind on, but not much. So happy 4:20. Get this thing going here. Let me get started on the news fairly soon. Not in any rush. Got a few stories for you here. Just pour myself a drink. There we go. I'm getting there. I got some news for you. I need to turn on the light. There we go. Get a few hits under my belt here. Hey, this tastes pretty good. It's a weed of the week. Tell you about that later. You know, that comes along later. So, the OPECers have teamed up with Russia and some of their other allied producers, decided to excuse me, cut back on production by 2 million barrels a day. They're looking to prop up profits lost due to the falling prices since June of this year. The announcement sent crude oil prices on the rise this week. So it's just going up again, folks. Nothing we can do about it. They're raising the price of crude. The ongoing Saudi-Russian cooperation is also a sign of the strained relations between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. U.S. officials are working around the clock to save off the big cut, appealing to those countries that it maintains strong defense and strategic ties with. White House is disappointed in OPEC, those OPECers, for cutting production at a time when the world economy is dealing with the continued negative impact of Putin's invasion of the Ukraine. Moving right along here. The three-judge panel for the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals concluded that Obama's administration did not have the legal authority to create DACA, the Deferred Action for Children arrivals in 2012, affirming a July 2021 ruling from a federal judge in Texas who barred the administration from enrolling new immigrants in the program. Despite their conclusion, the appeals court didn't order the Biden administration to shut down DACA completely or to stop processing renewal applications, leaving intact the policy for current beneficiaries. However, they will be prohibited from accepting new applications. The appeal court returned the case to the Texas judge to consider changes submitted by the Biden administration in August to address legal objections raised by the judge. So we'll see where that goes. the U.S. 11th Circuit Court of Appeals handed the Department of Justice another win in the Orange Guys Mar-a-Lago documents seizure on Wednesday, when they agreed to fast track their decision to halt outside review of seized documents. The appeals court sided with DOJ last month and removed about 100 documents marked classified from the purview of the special master. The same appeals court granted the Justice Department's additional request to expedite its challenge to the broader special master process. Prosecutors sought to dismantle the entire outside review, stating the effort is hindering an urgent criminal investigation. Now, in a brief order on Wednesday, the appellate court said submission of the briefs should be completed by November 17th, which is, of course, a lot sooner than Trump's lawyers wanted that to happen. On Tuesday, the Trump's lawyers asked SCOTUS to vacate the appeals court decision to keep the classified documents out of the hands of the special master. This whole classified document thing makes no sense to me. I mean, regardless of what Trump thinks, whether they're declassified or not, they still belong to the government. They're not his, I don't know where he gets off thinking they are. Anyway, I mean, this whole thing, this first of all, this Florida judge is out of her fucking mind to be even giving him any leeway on this shit. So let's see here. What have I got? Let's get to the weed of the week. I don't have that many stories. So the weed of the week is white Durban. Obviously a sativa. 29.67% THC. And so Biden pardoned all folks that were federally convicted for simple possession, which is only about 6,500 people. So, but still, it was a nice gesture on his part. And he's encouraged states to do the same. Hopefully, the 37 states where marijuana is in some form or another legal, you would hope that they would do that. Because the majority of people who are convicted of simple possession are convicted under state law, not of some form or another under drug laws. So they'll be in jail a long time. But he called for review of the scheduling of marijuana, which would be great because it's scheduled the same as heroin, which makes it a Schedule 1. Even fentanyl is a Schedule 2. So it shouldn't be up there with heroin, which creates such a hypocrisy putting it in a Schedule 1 category, because I think this is just a theory of mine, by the way. I think you have people who, young people in this world, who see the hypocrisy in marijuana being scheduled the same as heroin, and as a result have become addicted to heroin. Okay, because they figure if marijuana is a Schedule 1 and heroin is a Schedule 1, maybe heroin isn't any worse than marijuana. I mean, wrong-thinking individuals might lean in that direction. Okay. and as a result become addicted to heroin. So I think this is a smart thing to do, to consider rescheduling. For one thing, it's relatively harmless, and it does have medical uses. So being in a Schedule 1, that's what it claims. Schedule 1 drugs have no medical use, so it doesn't belong there. Now, during the primary, he did discuss decriminalizing it. So when he was running for president, so hopefully he'll keep that promise. It would be nice to see. So where am I? Oh, the trial of 5 members of the Oath Keepers began this week. They participated in the January 6th insurrection. Deborah Langley, how you doing? You agree? It was added in 1970, has no business being listed as a Schedule 1. Right. First of all, it does have medical application, and it's not useless, okay? And it's relatively harmless. This week was the first time I ever heard of anyone dying from marijuana. Okay. I don't know if you heard the story or not, but somebody actually died from marijuana. He was working in a processing place for marijuana, and he died from inhaling the dust. Okay. So he wasn't smoking it. He just died from inhaling the dust into his lungs from working in this place for so long. So it's understandable that there would be a problem there. We'll say, though, that with the advent of dabs and wax, I see an addiction that was surprising. Yes, well, I tend to stay away from that. I like flower, I like growing it. I like smoking it. Always did. Concentrates make me cough. Not that weed doesn't make me cough, but they make cough even more. I feel it in my lungs. So I really don't care for it. So I'd rather not do it. I take concentrates and I use them in my cooking. If I want to I'll make edibles or something, I use concentrates for that. So those work out for me. Well, you can't. All they have these days is that bubble hash. You can't get real hashish unless you go to Europe or something. Yeah. It's still available in Amsterdam. I know. Yeah, they still sell it there. But that bubble hash isn't real hash. It's not the same stuff. I had some real hash last summer. I wish it was me. I haven't had any since the last time I went to Amsterdam, and that was 2010. So that was my 9th trip. I love that city. It's so easy to get around, and there's so many nice places to go. More museums than you can count without your fingers getting sore. They have a museum for everything. Whatever you want to go to, a museum. They got a museum for everything. Although Rotterdam has an interesting museum. Yeah, Rotterdam has a museum of forgeries, which was very interesting. They have a forgery of a Vermeer there that was so authentic that they refused to believe the forger until they pointed out to him that he had painted a glass in the painting that was not available in Vermeer's day. Okay, so until he pointed that out in the painting, they refused to believe that it wasn't a Vermeer. So I should get back to my news here so I can finish this up and we can just chat. The trial of 5 members of the Oath Keepers who participated in the January 6th insurrection began Monday in D.C. Stuart Rhodes, Kelly, Kelly Meggs, can't read my own handwriting, Jessica Watkins, Thomas Caldwell, and Kenneth Harrelson are charged with seditious conspiracy. According to the Department of Justice, Rhodes conspired. He's the head of he's the founder of the Oath Keepers. He conspired with his co-defendants and others to oppose by force the execution of the laws governing the transfer of presidential power on 1/20/21. If convicted, they face a maximum imprisonment of 20 years. Would love to see the Amber Room found again. Been lost since World War II. I don't know what the Amber Room is. You'll have to fill me in. Shortly after January 6th, Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes said, only regret is that they should have brought rifles, and they would have fixed it right then and there. The defense largely centers around the argument that they went to the Capitol to do security on the 5th and 6th. Doesn't really sound like security to me if they wanted to have rifles to settle things. But the assertion is somewhat unbelievable when you consider weapons caches, a video of what happened that day, planned quick reaction forces, and endless parade of recorded statements promoting violence on January 6th. So, yeah, security or ours. You're right. There we go. So, new abortion restrictions are changing where future OBGYNs are training. Residency programs in states that have restricted abortions since SCOTUS overturned Roe v. Wade are making contingency plans for their doctors to train in other states. The Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education, which certifies physician training programs, requires OBGYN programs provide abortion training for residents who don't opt out. The council said in September that in states where abortions are restricted, in states where abortion is restricted, must help residents get trainings in another state. As the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine, at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine, I'm sorry, I can't read what I wrote. they've been looking to partner with a school in a state where abortion isn't banned. They're concerned that OBGYNs trained in Wisconsin won't practice there. So that's all the news I have. I could see where that'd be a problem, you know. OBGYNs training in the states where abortion is restricted are most likely going to move out of state, you know. What would be the point of being an OBGYN there? The Amber Room was a chamber decorated in amber panels, backed with gold leaf and mirrors, located in the Catherine Palace of Tsarskoye Selo near St. Petersburg, constructed in the 18th century. Oh. I would imagine after the Bolshevik Revolution, there was a lot destroyed in Russia in the way of, in kind of anything religious. I mean, in Prussia. Well, St. Petersburg. Oh, I see. It was Prussia before it was part of the Soviet Union, I would suspect. But yeah, I would imagine there was a lot of things that were destroyed. There was this Romanian cop show that was filmed during the while the Iron Curtain was still up, and it was on Amazon Prime. I don't think it's available anymore, but they translated it into English, and I would imagine so. This Romanian cop show, and there was I lost my connection. There we go. They dubbed in this Romanian cop show, and they didn't change the dialogue. I mean, it's not like they made a comedy out of it or anything, but by our standards, it turned into a comedy. Okay. They caught this guy doing graffiti in this alley, and when they showed the graffiti, it was Christ on a crucifix. Okay. Christ on a cross. That's what he was painting on the wall with his spray can. Okay. And they showed these kids, instead of breakdancing in the street, they were doing ballet. Okay. And one of the cases they were covering had to do with this game they found hidden under the car seat in this automobile. The guy happened to notice that the colors of the upholstery on the back seat of the car didn't match. Okay. So he ripped back the car seat, and he found this box under the seat. And it was a board game called Monopoly. Okay. And they did some research on this Monopoly game. They went to this prison, and they talked to these two capitalists about this game. And turns out that this game they discovered was created by Americans during the Depression to teach capitalism to children. Okay. And the two capitalists they went to visit in prison happened to be the parents of one of the cops. Okay. It was really a wild story. And then in season 2, they found this leather patch after this truck sped away. Okay. The truck was selling illegal contraband out the back of the truck. And the leather patch said Jordaki. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is all true. This is all true. Dog and I watched this series, 2 seasons. I wish it was still available. Or at least I could remember the name of it. But they were selling. They found this leather patch that said Jordaki. Okay. And of course, what the illegal contraband was jeans. All right. And they went to the U.S. Embassy, and that was a joke. There were like two fat guys sitting in the lobby of the U.S. Embassy eating hamburgers. It was it was the craziest fucking show you ever saw. But it was a real Romanian detective show when the Iron Curtain was up. It was created in the 80s. It was nuts. It was really a wild TV show. It was some funny shit, I'm telling you. I wish it was still on to watch. I'd watch it over and over again. It was just hysterical. Yeah, Jordaki. Yeah, it was some funny shit. But, they go in to see the U.S. ambassador and she's got money all over her desk, like we're so wealthy and all that, Oh, it was hysterical. The decadence of the West, was apparent at the embassy. Fat guys sitting around eating cheeseburgers and stuff. It was really some funny shit. I'll have to excuse me. I'll have to check with Dog and see if he remembers the show. Then I'll check and see if it's still available. Because I never watched anything that was so riotous, honestly. We couldn't have made a better spoof, okay, than this show was. I mean, if we wanted to poke fun at the Iron Curtain, we would make a show that was this funny, believe me. Yes, isn't that great? Well, what I liked is that as soon as they annexed those areas of the Ukraine, they moved in and immediately took them over within a week, at least two of them. And it's like, what did they think the Ukrainians were going to do? Of course, they were going to concentrate on those areas, Yeah, they had the gall to be upset. It's not their bridge, for Christ's sake. So, I don't know. I don't know how long Putin's going to last if he keeps this up. I mean, people are fleeing the country by the thousands. I saw a story in the news. In fact, I was going to report on it, but I didn't have enough time to write it out. Russians are fleeing across the Bering Strait to Alaska. Okay. They're actually crossing the Bering Strait to Alaska to flee the draft. Okay. So, not an easy thing. Okay. So, I mean, if they want out that bad, just let them go. Seriously, I mean, that's why they took the wall down. They couldn't feed the people anymore, so they turned them loose. Well, if you can't get them to fight, just let them go. What's the point? It'd be like reinitiating the draft in this country. Everybody between 18 and 25 would leave. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's rioting in the streets and leaving by the thousands. Okay. I mean, everybody of draft age is leaving by the thousands. So, excuse me, I have to blow my nose. I'm all stuffy. Well, sure, he's insane. He's their Donald Trump. Only he's not a one-term president, you know. He saw that. He's got what Trump wanted. Okay. He's got what Trump was pushing for. You know, an autocracy. That's what he wanted. And he's still pushing for it. I can't believe he went to the Supreme Court over these documents that don't even belong to him. I mean, when's he going to get it through his head that, you know, these are property of the United States. They're not property of his, you know. Got a lot of crazies out there running countries right now. They put this woman in charge of Italy. She's the first person from the Mussolini party that's held office in Italy since Mussolini. This generation of 20 to 30-year-olds can't imagine getting a good response to a draft here. No. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And, you know, I talked to them and I can't believe they know nothing about the 20th century. Absolutely nothing about the 20th century. I mean, they don't know anything about Vietnam. They don't know anything about the Reagan administration, Carter administration. They don't even know about Operation Desert Storm. They know nothing. They don't teach history anymore or current events. Those aren't even subjects in school anymore. Okay. They even stopped listening to our music. That's scary. You know, it really is. They know nothing. You know, you can't base your life on the past 30 years. Nothing happened in the past 30 years that's worth knowing about. Yeah, right. Keyboard warriors. That's what they are. I mean, all the half-truths you get off the internet and the asinine music they listen to. It's no wonder they are what they are. I mean, there's the guitar is virtually gone. So music, I mean, anybody can play a keyboard. I mean, a computer keyboard. Yeah, history is long gone, which is a shame. Because if you don't learn from history, you're cursed to repeat it, which is just what we just went through. I mean, we came so close to having a second Hitler. It's truly remarkable. It's no wonder Putin says he's fighting the Nazis. You know, he listens to what's his name on Fox every night, and it's obvious they're promoting Nazism. Okay. I mean, Trump was the closest thing to Hitler we've seen in this country ever. And I mean, that's exactly what he was looking for, you know, was that same fascist autocracy. And fascism is on the rise again. You know, why do you think he spoke out against Antifa? There was no other reason to speak out against Antifa unless you're a fascist. Okay. I can think of no other reason. He was running scared of them. So we were watching history repeat itself, and we're watching it now. So and you can't call it a revolution. There aren't enough people involved. Revolution takes the majority. This is not the majority. Music is generational, though. I don't really care about their music so much, but I do care about their lack of thinking ability. Yes, yes, and their lack of humor. They have no sense of humor. They truly have no sense of humor. Um, Everything's offensive. Okay. Um, I mean, they don't even want to hear half my jokes. So there's something seriously wrong there. So it's a shame. I mean, somebody like Don Rickles couldn't even make it in show business today, and he was a very funny man. Okay. I mean, you couldn't be an insult comic today and get away with it because people would be insulted instead of finding it funny. And I'm a sarcastic person in a humorous way, and people oftentimes don't get my sarcasm. They're hurt by it, and I don't understand that anymore. Okay, you know, one I've used frequently in the past is somebody will come in and I say, I stuck up for you the other day. Somebody said they wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire, and I said I. Okay, because they read lies on the internet and believe them. Okay, there's so much bad information out there on the internet, and they fall for that crap. Absolutely, absolutely. He was the best, and I don't know that young people today would understand him because they would be insulted by much of the stuff he has to say. Because they fit into every category he demeans. That's where the problem would arise. You know what I mean? He would tear them a new asshole. Let's put it that way. Yeah, well, exactly. uh, yeah, yeah. George Carlin couldn't survive today because he'd be telling people what they are, and they wouldn't like it. I mean, that's what the problem would be. Okay, that's where the problem would arise. So I mean, he just. Yes, exactly. They're always being victimized. They, I don't know, they don't take they don't take the blame for anything. Can't stand up to their mistakes. It's always somebody else's fault. You know, we had two bartenders at the bar down here, 23 and 26 years old, who both walked out on the same day because they got their asses chewed for not doing their job. So they decided the next time they were working that they would walk out on the same day. One was working the day shift, one was coming in to relieve her. So at the end of her shift, they both left together. The end of the day shift, the one came in to relieve her, and they both up and left to close the place at 6 o'clock. Because they didn't like being chastised. Actually, what they didn't like was doing their job. Okay. That being brought to their attention was too much for them. I've been through some serious crap in my life. Never have I ever looked at myself as a victim. I'm horrified by how many people do that, though. Yeah, well, I was a victim once. Okay, so I was targeted by a captain with the state police who was my supervisor, and it was a racial thing. He was taking revenge on me for someone that I had terminated. He wasn't my supervisor at the time of the termination, but he saw to it that he got the job as my supervisor so that he could fuck with me. And it drove me nuts. I took 6 years off to straighten myself out. I took 6 years off to wait for him to leave. Okay. And then when he was gone, I went back. But I suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. I still see it shrink because of it, but he's dead now, so I'm happy. But it was he came in there determined to get rid of me, so, and he didn't. So got down to where he threatened me and my family with physical violence. I mean, it was the only thing he could think to do at that point. He tried numerous times to find a way to get rid of me. So I shut a bar down after the owner tried to force me to serve his buddies after one, closing time, and two, they were past their limit. Yeah, well, see, I worked for the state liquor control, and I understand your position. I mean, there was a really good bartender, really nice young lady working at the local bar here. And the owner was in there one night. It was very busy. She was very crowded. And he was with someone who didn't have an ID. And he wanted the bartender to serve her, and she refused. Her attitude was, if you want to serve her, come back here and serve her, but I'm not going to do it. Because she wasn't going to jeopardize her position. And so he fired her on the spot because she wouldn't serve this person. And he's regretted it ever since. His Saturday night business sucks since she departed. So, I mean, he could very easily have walked behind the bar and served this person, but he didn't do it. Instead, he terminated a good bartender who had a large following. Okay. So he kind of shot himself in the foot. But she was in the right. Person didn't look old enough to drink either. So was my guess if they were involved in an accident after I served them, knowing they were intoxicated. Exactly. She wasn't willing to risk it. That's the way it is in Illinois. The last place you were served is the place that takes the hit. So she wasn't willing to take that risk. Because if you were overserved, obviously it was in the last place you were in. You couldn't have been overserved in the place before that. Yes, they can. Yeah, I understand. I read Stoner. Yes, they can. Some of them have a tremendous following. My bestie used to tend bar down here under the previous owner, and she quit and came back like 2 years later. And the day she came back, the owners came out to see how she was doing and had to park across the street because the parking lot was so packed. Okay, so needless to say, she had a following. So yeah, it makes a difference. It makes a difference who's tending bar and who isn't. The former manager out here used to park around back so people didn't know she was working. She was that disliked. So it was just something about her people just didn't care for. So if you have to hide your car, you shouldn't even be tending bar. If the very thought of you being there drives people away. It's not the right occupation for you. I think you ought to find something else to do. Like maybe be a night watchman where you don't have to deal with anybody. That might be the job for you. Of course, for the most part, she did deal with no one. Very few people went in there. Oh yeah, the auto. Oh yeah, you had a Berg system. One of the things where you had to put the ring around the bottle and pour it, the magnetic ring. Those are so stupid. I hated those things. Yes, you shouldn't have to hide your car to go to work. But yeah, those Berg systems, those were ridiculous. And when I came across the first beer system like that, they had tapper handles on them, and we used to check to see if the taps were clean. And the way you did that was by twisting a napkin and sticking it up the tapper. Well, the first thing you do is moisten the tap. So I grabbed a hold of the handle and I ripped it right off. So it didn't have one of those, the magnetic ring that you put around the bottle and pour that way. That's a Berg system. But this was a draft system that calibrated the draft beer. You couldn't, you couldn't just free pour a draft as an automatic draft system. and I snapped the handle right off the thing. But I caused some changes to be made on a national level in a lot of places, in several places. Olive Garden, for one, when I first inspected an Olive Garden, they were taking the wine carafes and just topping them off and reserving them to people. And I made that all change. You know, they had to wash the carafes, dump them out, and wash the carafes between servings and refill them fresh. Can you imagine what people might have done to the carafes in between servings? You know, at the table, they could have done anything to that thing. Could have spit in it. You know? So because of me, they changed that on a national level, how they serve the carafe. Yeah, I know I've worked with that before as well. I know it saved a bit of money. However, it cost many places customers. Yeah. 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 Woe is right. And then the same Chi-Chi's, their draft margaritas. They were mixing them up in plastic trash cans, great big hole in the top, and they were just topping it off. You never knew what was in the bottom of the trash can. And anything could have fallen in there or crawled in there. And I made them install sealed systems so that they wouldn't be like that anymore. So, and they had to, at least under Illinois law, they had to empty the container and clean it once a week and start off with fresh product. I don't know how it went in other states, but in Illinois now, any kind of premixed cocktail has to be destroyed once a week and start off with fresh product. So that got written into Illinois law because of me. And they all have to be sealed systems. So I was a good guy out there. And I let little mom and pop joints, I'd give them an ass chewing for violations and then I'd let them go. And I'd hit the big corporate operations and they'd get fined. So I figured they had the money. They could afford it, you know. I left the little mom and pop operations alone. You know, and I let gambling slide too because I figured some of them needed it, you know, just to survive. You know, running football boards and that kind of stuff. Because they're big on cracking down on gambling in Illinois. So I didn't. Well, exactly. You know, and rather than bust them, I'd rather just give them an ass chewing, tell them to straighten their act out, you know, and that I'd be coming back to look again, you know. So I figured that was good enough. You know. Yeah, I was a nice guy out there. I was one of the good guys, you know. Of course, we weren't law enforcement. We were just a regular regulatory agency. You know, because of course the mob ran Illinois back when Prohibition ended. So they saw to it that the laws were on the light side. You know, I think Illinois is probably the only state where liquor control is not law enforcement. I know I went to the National Liquor Law Enforcement Academy way back when, and at that time there were only two states that were not law enforcement. That was Illinois and Delaware. So, but then, look at the size of it. So, gambling is part and parcel of bar life, though. So stupid with all the other issues out there, right? Yeah. But see, now in Illinois, they have gaming in bars now. They have gaming machines, and they're all networked. But that's something new that's only been around for about 10 years. And I haven't been with the Liquor Commission since 2008. That's when I retired. So, those machines haven't been in bars. I had one of my agents used to write to the Department of Revenue and to the governor every year for about 10 years, telling them that they ought to link those machines. And because there were gaming machines already in bars, slot machines that were illegal. And they were marked for amusement only, but they paid out over the bar. They'd split the profits with the bar 50-50 with the company that owned the machines. And everybody knew about it. And we were supposed to go in and look for evidence that they were paying out, but we didn't. Oh, sure we do. I think he's in the bottom of Lake Mead. They'll get to him eventually. Just he has to go down some more. Yeah, the state gets 50% of these machines now. Okay. But and these machines are looser than the illegal ones were. So the bars are making more money off the state machines than they were off the illegal ones. But now they can't run football boards and that kind of stuff like they used to because they're worried about losing these machines. But all the state made off the old machines was the amusement license cost, which was $35 per machine. And my agent used to write, because I was a supervisor of this agent for about 10 years. He wrote to the governor and the Department of Revenue, encouraging them to put their own gaming machines in and computer link them and make all the money that these illegal ones were making. And they ignored him. Okay. And now they're doing it, after they terminated him. So they said he was drinking and driving, and he said, no, first I was drinking and then I was driving. So they didn't terminate him. They allowed him to retire. Okay. They encouraged him to retire, I should say. And he was a good friend of mine. He moved to Las Vegas after he retired. But he was one of the agents that was in my unit under my supervision. But he and I worked together as agents prior to my being promoted. But, we hung around together after work as well. So, in fact, the night he got busted, he was leaving the bar down the road here. I'd asked him to stop in there and let him know I was in the hospital at the time, and they changed my room. And I wanted him to stop there and let people know in case they wanted to give me a call. They'd know what room I was in. And he was leaving there when he got busted. So, because they were following him. They had been following him from work. Because when he refused to take a breathalyzer test, so they took him to the police station. When he got to the police station, the Illinois Department of Revenue investigators were waiting for him there. So, yeah, it was a pleasure having you. And it was a pleasure being had. Take care. here I am. Now what will I talk about? Well, there's the Oath Keepers. They went on trial this week. They're claiming they were there on the 6th, on the 5th and 6th. Love you too, hon. Take care. They claim they were there on January 5th and 6th of 2021 to for security. But then, of course, the founder of the Oath Keepers came out and said that if they'd had rifles, everything would have been settled then and there. Doesn't sound like security to me. It's poor defense. I got a feeling they're going to prison. They're charged with seditious conspiracy. Going to be hard to squeak that defense by the jury, I think. When you consider they had caches of arms nearby. They posted that they were going to do violence on January 6th. Numerous times. The video evidence from January 6th. Seems to me they're screwed. There's 5 of them on trial. The founder and 4 others. So yeah, they'll be going to prison, maximum 20 years. So it'll be interesting to see if they throw the book at them. So what else is going on? Nothing around here, except I have a new source for farm fresh eggs. That's nice. Nice thing about living in the country. Eggs and honey. Get all that kind of stuff out here. Corn. Tomatoes, depending upon the time of the year, of course. Oops. Took that one too deep. So, smoking some Durban something or other. Where's the jar? What is this? Oh, white Durban. That's the weed of the week. And it's pretty potent shit. .67% THC. So yeah, I'm getting fucked up. Oh, I missed 420. Shame on me. Oh well, better luck next hour. Well, let's see. What else was in the news? Well, that 11th District Appellate Court gave the DOJ another break this week. They told him that they ordered that the special master that the briefs in that special master bullshit be turned in by November 17th instead of dragging this thing out for months like Trump had hoped. So Trump took it to the Supreme Court. He still wants the special master to be able to review the confidential documents, which for some reason or another he thinks he owns. And there's no way he owns any of that shit, you know? They also think he has more documents, but they don't know where. Maybe Trump Tower. Hopefully he didn't take anything to Scotland with him. Fucking nut. But yeah, if he's got, I mean, because he had all those empty folders. There had to have been something in them to begin with. You got to wonder where that shit is. I don't know. The guy's a real head case. You know, I mean, we should have known this guy was nothing but a con artist. He's always been nothing but a con artist. You know, and to be button heads with the Department of Justice just doesn't seem like a good idea. It would seem to me that sooner or later they're going to start butting back. I mean, I think they're poking a bear. And he's listening to the wrong lawyers because they're telling him what he wants to hear. He wants to hear that he should be bullheaded because that's what he's always been, you know. But the whole con racket that he's pulled, this election being fixed and voting machines being rigged and all of this crap that he's pulled, not only with that, but other stuff before that too. We should realize just from his sales promotions of various products, I mean, who sells steaks at Sharper Image, you know? Who even thinks of buying steaks at Sharper Image? You say, well, yeah, I got a taste for steak. I think I'll order some from Sharper Image. Okay. That's just the ultimate absurdity, you know. And then he had Trump vodka that was made for the rest of the world. That's what he said in an interview. Where's your vodka made? Oh, in various parts of the world. Okay. It's an international vodka made in various parts of the world. I mean, it's a ridiculous. The guy's a con artist. He always was. And he conned the whole country, and he's still conning 65% of the Republicans. This guy's got to go to prison. Can't afford to have him loose. Hopefully he doesn't do what the last Hitler did, and, you know, his own Mein Kampf while he's in prison and they come out and take over. I mean, this is history repeating itself, you know. Anybody born in the last 30 years has never studied history, so they're not going to learn from the past like you should. You know, the world's fucked. They stopped teaching history. So what do you do now? You know, if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed in the future. So if they don't teach the past, our future is doomed. They don't teach history, nobody's going to learn anything. Okay. I mean, that's the absolute truth. Well, that seems to have driven everyone out of the chat. I have no audience now, apparently. Nobody wants to learn from the past. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. I mean, if you're too stubborn to realize that, I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry, folks. I guess I'll end my show there. Nobody wants to know. You need to know the past to know the future. Oh, well. Okay, folks, I get the hint. Nobody wants to know the truth. Remember, there's nothing funny about peace, love, and understanding. Okay? Okay. I love you all, even if you're not there. Okay? I'll see you. Tune in Tuesday. I'll play some noise for you.